Nestled in the Peruvian Andes, the quaint town of Yungay sat peacefully in the Huaraz River Valley, surrounded by towering peaks. But in 1970, a powerful earthquake shook those mountains, triggering a massive landslide that buried the city and nearly all its inhabitants. These stories are from eyewitness accounts of that fateful day.
Luckily, we were not in the workshop as on many Sundays because our boss had gone to round up animals. We young fellows were playing soccer on the field opposite the plaza. Suddenly, we heard a frightful noise in the north from the direction of Huaraz. Just then, the ground began to shake. We fell to our knees to pray as first the old church, which was very ancient, crumbled. The new one, which was still under construction, fell next. Cracks opened in the ground. Those of us who had been playing ran to our homes quickly. Luckily, we found few serious injuries or deaths. Almost all had rushed outside, though 3/4 of the houses had fallen. Only one old woman and 2 small children were crushed to death. The women wailed and the children screamed. The level of the water in the river rose suddenly, and it was full of mud.
It was a Sunday, in the middle of a peaceful afternoon when the ground began to shake so hard that we could scarcely get to our feet. The houses toppled as if a bulldozer were shoving them over. Almost immediately, there was not a house left standing. Like a flash, we took off for Huaraz, terrified and weeping, fearful for our families. I got to where my house had stood, but no piece of the wall was upright. My children, the neighbors and others stood there stunned, wailing, many covered with blood, all white with terror. I headed towards the middle of town to see what had happened to my woodworking shop. It was impossible to get there. There were dead on all sides and injured screaming, some without legs, others half buried and no one to help. I kept on for a way, weeping and shouting like a madman that it would be better to have died than to suffer thus and live homeless. I went back home, and my whole family spent the miserably cold night in a field without any shelter.